Hey friends, it's Rabbi Jenny Solomon at Beth Myers Synagogue with a Mincha moment. So here we are, continuing in this series of Torah portions, dealing with the Mishkan, the building of the tabernacle, this portable sanctuary that the Israelites carried with them through the wilderness, that we carried with us through the wilderness. And in Vayakhel, it opens with a very famous line in which God says, everyone should bring me gifts, whoever is so moved. And it's a little bit of a shocking request, given that just in last week's Torah portion, we read about the golden calf. So the Israelites did in fact have gifts to give, but instead of giving them to God, they gave their gifts to Aaron in the form of idolatry, building a golden calf. But I think there is something deeper going on. You know, when there's been a rupture in a relationship, and that sense of distance is felt, when harm has been caused, when there's been a kind of severing of trust, I know that one of the things that helps me kind of come back into safety and connection in that relationship is simply the reminder from the other person in the relationship, or God for that matter, that reminds me that I have gifts to bring. Now, you should just know that gifts are actually not my love language. I know some people are really into getting gifts and giving gifts, and I'm not anti-gift, but it's just not my love language. I have to stretch a little bit, both to give and to receive gifts. But there are all kinds of gifts, not just material gifts that we give. And so I think this week's Torah portion reminds us to consider for ourselves whether gifting or receiving gifts is our love language or not. What are our gifts? What are the gifts that we have to give? And they might be material gifts, resources. Worthy causes need those resources, that tzedakah to run. But they might be other kinds of gifts, gifts of time, gifts of talent, gifts of energy. And one of the other things that's pretty standout about this particular request in this week's Torah portion is that after the request for gifts is given, not only did the Israelites bring gifts, they brought so many gifts that Moses had to tell them to stop. So too many gifts. So I think it also begs the question, you know, sometimes there are seasons in our lives where we find ourselves giving too much, and other times in our lives when we may sense, if we really think about it, that we're actually giving too little, that there is need out there that we have the capacity to fill, and we're actually being invited to step up and step into that call and that invitation. So I just want to close by a short little note about Bezalel. Bezalel only shows up in this week's Torah portion, and he is identified as the one who is sort of called upon to help do the artist behind this construction, this piecing together of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. And it's not exactly clear to us why Bezalel is the one appointed for this task, but his name has perhaps a clue. Bezalel, if you break that word down, means be in tzel, the shadow, el, of the divine. And I'd like to think that this artistic leader had a sense of the talents, the time, the tzedakah that was sort of lurking in the shadows, and that his appointment to this holy task was built upon his capacity to intuit how those gifts could be best used. And I'd also like to think that each one of us has a little bit of Bezalel in us, that it's not only about us figuring out how to best use our own gifts, but how to bring those gifts out in others. All right, friends. Shalom. Peace.